Today is Monday night. It's such a miracle to be able to talk to people who are not here. Each of you, I picture you in front of me. Dina, you said something so many years ago, and I take it as a goal, never to forget it. Once you said about meeting each other, that the universe knows when people need to belong to each other. And in the strangest way, it tosses them together. And it's such a brilliant saying, because each one of you were brought to me in different circumstances, and you shaped my life. And I want to talk about that today. I realized when I was 8 years old and promised myself that if I would draw everybody I meet, then the people would know them and couldn't hate them. But I didn't realize what it would do for me. By drawing you, you spoke and opened up. So when I say hello to you, I know you. Wait, Kenny, that's moving.
Oh, it's not in the way, yeah.
Okay. I know you, I picture you in your mind. And I was thinking, but you don't know where I come from. You don't know my family. You don't know my thoughts. You know Kenny. But now, today, I'd like you to know more of us. And I'm going to read something to you that Joni once wrote. And when Kenny says I can begin, I'll begin.
Well, you can't read it from this.
Louder.
You can't read it from this. You could read it from my phone, but that might be difficult. Do you want me to read it?
Please, because
Sure.
I have a hard time with phones. That's why God invented Kenny.
Glad to know why I was invented. Okay. Kathy Goldman Parker is watching. Okay. This is Joni's writing. On May 5th of each year, my family eats potatoes. On May 5th, 1945, my father was liberated from concentration camp. He and other starving prisoners were taken on a death march as the Nazis tried to hide the human evidence of their atrocities. Many died along the march, and my father and the other prisoners were locked in a barn on May 4th. When the Nazis didn't appear on May 5th, they left the barn and found that their tormentors had disappeared and that the American soldiers were coming. My father was skeletal and needed to be hospitalized, but he survived and lived to have a family in America and to celebrate the day of his liberation. We eat potatoes in memory of that day because the starving prisoners kept alive by putting rotten potatoes against the heating pipes in their barracks, peeling off the cooked potatoes and eating them. I have done prison work since my teens and have devoted my life to working with incarcerated people and those released, as well as being a policy advocate for change to our barbaric criminal justice system. Scrolling down to the part that Hetty told me to read. This past year has been terribly hard for me, as I witnessed the pain and destruction in Israel and in Gaza, and it has escalated in the first weeks of the Trump administration as I witnessed the cruelty and the chaos, As a child of Holocaust survivors, I feel the moral need to not merely be a witness, but to do what I can in any way to mitigate the damage. But the onslaught is overwhelming, and I feel despair. But there's a saying that I learned from the men I worked with in prison: what goes around comes around. I received a text from a former client on January 27, 2025, quoting Elie Wiesel. The quote has given me great comfort. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. The opposite of art is not ugliness, it's indifference. The opposite of faith is not heresy, it's indifference. And the opposite of life is not death, it's indifferent. I am not and never will be indifferent. Joanne Page.
Can I speak?
Yes, all yours.
Can you hear me?
Yes, everyone can hear you.
Okay. When I read that, I realized I know you, but you don't know my family. Now you know one of us, and you know Kenny, and you know me. And I want to talk to you about knowing people. The greatest gift my art has given me, that when people sit with me as I draw them or paint them, they talk. They don't talk about the weather, and they don't talk about politics. There's peace and quiet, and they speak about themselves. We have to learn that inside of each of us, there's a whole universe. And so much of it is pain. And we don't speak of pain. We speak of good things. So people will think that we live in a good world. And we do, but not if we don't speak of it. So I would like to encourage you to speak. If you want to do what I do, I write. Because I find if I write, I can show it to millions of people. If I speak, only to a few. But I want to change the world. I want people to stop hating each other. And in art, I'm not able to do it. I'm able to do a little, but not to make you speak. I would like you to speak. I would not show it to people unless you say I can, and then we can read it.
What would you like them to write about?
How they feel inside, who they feel they are. What if somebody who has been knowing he or she is different from other people of their sex, has always felt different, has always been afraid to say it? What if a girl says, I love another girl? What if a man says, I love another man? Maybe soon we will stop segregating. You see, among trees, only human beings separate them. This is an oak, and this is a weeping willow. Trees do not say, I am an oak, I am strong. I am a weeping willow, I am sad. Say it. Say the things that you carry inside of yourself, because you know you'll be in trouble if you tell it out loud with some people. No, those people you have to stay away from. But write to them. And if you want us to read it here without giving you a name, or giving you a name, whatever you wish, let us do it for you. Because for me, when I was not allowed to go to school anymore in Nazi Europe, I'm able to say I am a Jew, because some Jews do wonderful things. Some Jews do the opposite, just like the rest of the human race. I belong because I'm all the things I don't like, and because I'm all the things I am proud of. But maybe if I spoke of the things I don't like in myself and put them out into the open, maybe the world would heal itself. Maybe somebody else will get up and say, I kicked my baby brother. I hit my little sister. Not because they did this or that, but because I'm jealous. Say the words. Say them privately by writing them. Nobody has to read it unless you give permission. But take that burden of who you don't like within you. Put it out and say, look, I'm like all of us. I'm not perfect.
And what happens when you do that?
Pick carefully who you say it to. Because that person has to be protected. You have to protect the person inside of you. But when you get it out, you take a load off your chest. The body isn't meant to carry those wounds. There's no air to heal them. And those wounds, those painful things, come from childhood. I remember being in a Fifth Avenue bus. All the children who were in there were well dressed, and a class teacher was taking them. And it's burned in my memory, I'll never forget. The other children were insulting that little boy, and then he began to cry. And the teacher turned on him and said, "Stop crying, you crybaby." And I wanted to go to the little boy and to hold him and to say, they are mean. Don't let them hurt you. But I kept quiet. It wasn't my business. Today I would have done it. Because I'm able to tell people, when the Nazis didn't let me go to school anymore because I'm a Jew, nobody protected me. But somebody did. My brother Richie loved people. He gave gifts to everybody. The gifts were a smile. And he walked me to school every morning. And he smiled at people. And this is a true story that I will never forget. There were 3 young women who used to be in a window waiting for us to come and to smile back at us. I didn't smile. I was very shy. But Richie did it for me. He smiled and waved at them. And when the Nazis came to power, they watched the soldiers break our door because we were neighbors in 2 neighboring buildings, and storm into the house and drag my father out. And one of those girls had a boyfriend who was in the army, and she called him and she says, "Come over here. Come, I need you." And he came, and she said, "Go into that house, find a man with the doors broken, find the father, the woman, anybody who's there. Ask what the name was of the man they took out and what he looks like, and get the name, because these are my friends." And he must have loved her because he risked his life. You didn't fight the Nazi regime. And he went to the broken door and he shouted to my mother, "Don't be afraid. I'm the fiancé or the boyfriend of the young women that your son and daughter greet in the mornings. What is his name and what does he look like?" And my mother, trembling, said, "His name is Jacob Kellman, and he's short and has red hair." And they walked through the streets until nightfall and went to every group of captured Jews and said, "Who is Jacob Kellman?" And when finally they found the right group, and my father came out and said, "I am Jacob Kellman," and he had red hair and was short, "Come with me." And they walked the streets with him all night until it was dark. And then they went to the house of one of these men and went to his home and found my father there, put my father there and kept him there. And the next morning my father came home alive. And that was somebody who risked his life for a stranger because he loved a friend. To me, when people say, "How could you love a criminal?" I don't know the story of the criminal, but I know my family worked at the Fortune Society with criminals for years. And when so many of them couldn't find jobs, my father started at the Fortune Society to teach picture framing to
Your husband.
My husband, right? Yes. And speak up. Speak up. The person you save might save you someday.
And Kathy Goldman Parker says, "Hi Hetty, thanks for your visit to us all." And Dina says, "Tomorrow is Richie's birthday. He saved your
March
life.
4th.
He saved your life with a smile. Forever grateful."
So I'm going to close this by saying I love all of you. And I mean the word love, because you wouldn't be listening to this story if you had hate. And March 4th is Richie's birthday. May 5th is Eric's Liberation Day. And next Monday I will speak of another family member, because when I did the last painting, which Artists in Partnership published, Erica said, when the world will speak of our period of time, they'll only speak of Holocaust, slavery, cruelty. Let's do a painting that shows who we really are. And I want to do these broadcasts in that name. I love you all.
Now, Amy Lauren says, don't run away yet. We have more time, Hetty. When we do, we have 7 more minutes. Do you want to sketch a little?
I'd love to. Kenny brought me a wonderful tree. Do you know what I'm going to be doing, by the way, in spring? I'm going to be drawing trees. Tree after tree after tree. Once nature allows me to be outside again without freezing, I'm going to sit down in front of a tree and draw every branch and every sore and every blemish, because we have them. Okay? Kenny brought me this, but this is a substitute
for a living tree.
From a real tree. Just like you are a substitute for humanity. This is a great pencil. I have a wonderful son who sharpened the pencils for me. This is a strong one.
Dina said, I love the analogy of the trees earlier. Trees don't put labels on themselves. Trees are free to be who they are.
Yes. Unless we cut them down.
Eileen is here.
I didn't hear that.
Oh, Eileen is here.
Eileen. Eileen Cutler?
Yes, that Eileen. She's just jumping in from Costa Rica.
Yes. But she sent beautiful photos.
Yes. Gorgeous.
Kenny, in one of these broadcasts, would you speak about yourself? Because you've been writing about yourself, and I saved those papers. And I would love to share them.
Sure, you'll let me know what papers you want.
Shall I talk about you next week?
Sure.
Okay. Or should you talk about yourself?
No, I don't think I'm going to talk about myself.
Well, I could read something you wrote,
Sure.
and then you could do your own talk afterwards.
This is your time.
But people need your voice.
So the message for tonight, in part, is speak up, huh? Speak up. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Without fear. There are people who will listen.
How does it feel to hold a pencil in your hand and sketch?
What?
How does it feel to hold a pencil in your hand and sketch?
Like it belongs. More than a paint.
Huh.
Because a paint needs more time.
Eileen says, sending love to the pages and all those on ear here who love and respect Hetty. How many years have you been sketching?
How many what?
Years have you been sketching? Ever since Vienna, right?
Every child draws.
True.
Every child. But when I was 8 years old, I gave a purpose to it. I decided if people only know who we are, we wouldn't kill each other.
And Dina says, I watch and marvel at what comes alive on your sketch pad. And Danielle Gruss says, hello, Hetty and Ken. Thanks for brightening my day. Oh, look how beautiful this is getting.
Danielle, thank you.
Look at this. Oh, my gosh. And then Amy asked Eileen if she lives in Costa Rica, and Eileen says no, but it's a great place to visit and escape the winter and the craziness of the United States right now. Soon we return home.
Everybody, I hate to say goodbye, but I'm going to be eating ice cream now. I love you all so much. But you know, I do. And the secret of getting to know people who are honest with you is that they love you back. Not if you fake it. People know. I'm taking my glasses off.
And Amy sends you hearts. Marcia says, love you too, Hetty.
Bye-bye. See you next Monday.